The energy of the soap opera of the stars for the fourth week of October is that of expression. I'm an intuitive coach, and this is my energy report for the 19th to the 25th of October. My guides channel these energy reports through me. They are called Samsara. And before I do the channeling, I research the astrology and the human design. Now, the way I look at this is that we have a chart which we are born with, where the planets are placed in certain places. And because of where they are placed, they are influenced by the houses they are in, plus they have aspects to each other, so they're talking to each other. Now, they're also placed in certain human design gates. And all of this is very important to understand who we are, what our shadows are, what our gifts are, why we are here, so on and so forth. And I do personalized readings for astrology as well as human design. And of course, because I am an intuitive coach and I have this intuitive ability, they are all informed by the intuitive ability. Now, while that is the cards that we are dealt with, as the planets go around the zodiac, go around the sky, they now occupy different houses over the days, weeks, months, and years, and therefore their energy shifts and they have different conversations. Now, dependent on where that is happening in your natal chart, you are impacted by these transits. Now, you don't have to believe in astrology or human design. You know that our body is made of 70% water. You know that the moon, for example, has an impact on the tides. So if nothing else, the moon moves houses or moves through the zodiac, does a full circle every 28 days. So just by virtue of the moon being in different places in the sky, it impacts us. Anyhow, if you want to get deeper, of course, there are so many other planets that are in these different areas of the sky, in different spaces in the zodiac. Now, the zodiac houses themselves have a certain personality. So imagine a planet that is in a particular house and needs to stay there for a while, but doesn't like the energy of the house. They're not comfortable there. They're not in great terms with the owner of the house. Now, that planet will be a little uncomfortable, or perhaps the planet falls sick, retrograde. I mean, it isn't really that way, but I'm just giving you a very general way of looking at things, right? So there are conversations happening in the sky based on the qualities of the planets, based on the zodiac they're in, and whether they're comfortable where they are or not. Then they're also going through these different gates in the human design. So there's a lot of discussion happening in the planets, and all of that energetically impacts us because we are connected with everything around us. Therefore, I feel it is important to look at the transits, to look at human design, because it gives us a proactive way of looking at life, a proactive way of navigating life. Now, for a long part of our life, we don't really have control over our environment. We don't really have a choice, I should say, because we never have control. But we don't really have the ability to make choices. But at some point, we do have the ability to make choices. And it is important that using these choices to make life easier. And of course, ease is relative, because if you're in a very intense situation, then ease is still intense compared to other times and other situations. However, the point is that you can find greater ease through the choices that you make. So when you understand what is going on around you, when you understand the energies that are available to you, and some energies may be helpful, some energies may be to watch out for, then it is really important to be able to translate that into how you want to navigate life. So that is one way of looking at it. The other way is that, if we don't look at life proactively, if we don't take proactive measures to navigate life, then we're just going to be in reactive mode. We're just going to be in firefighting mode. And who enjoys that, really? I don't. I'm not sure whether you do, but it's quite draining. And it also results in our not being able to make the best the best decisions for the situation on hand. So, a long explanation as to why I do these transits, why I come back every week, every month to share these transit reports with you. Now, I go and I look at the astrology and I look at the human design and I apply what I've learned to these. However, when I sit down to write, a channeling comes through, which is from my guides, whom I said were called Samsara, and they put a spin on all that I've understood, which honestly is awe-inspiring to me because I learn so much from what the guides have to say, and that is what I share with you, that channeled sort of message. The reason I still study the astrology and the human design is because it brings my attention to certain things that are happening that sort of connect with the data download that the guides are giving me and enable me to put it in language that I can communicate with. So it sounds like a complex process. It happens very quickly for me. I have been doing this work for 15 years, so I guess that helps. And let's just get into this, and I am going to read the report as it has come through, but I will also then stop and give you my take on what the guides have said. So, the guides are saying, we begin this week on a high note, coming off of the energy of last week, where the closure you were able to achieve opened up a rush of energy that left you feeling empowered and ready to express yourself as a unique individual. This energy will make you want to get busy and will make you want to interact, share, and act. The guides are saying, go for it. Now, the thing is that, when the guides say things like, oh, you are now feeling empowered, it's not because you have some epiphany or, something is, some announcement has happened or there's a big event in your life or anything of that sort. The fact that you have seen a situation clearly, the fact that you know that you do not want it anymore, the fact that you know that you want a different choice in life. Now, you may not know that choice as yet, and therefore you may feel that, oh, I'm not yet empowered, but that's not true. You are more empowered than you were. So you need to look at all of this from a relative perspective. And if you have clarity, if you've been able to break a pattern, if you've been able to move beyond something that has been bothering you, if you've decided to make a difference in your life, that path may not be absolutely clear right now, but the fact that you've reached this point is a point of power because you've chosen for yourself. So that is the way you need to look at it. And so yes, you may then want to get busy and you will want to, share this with people whom you love, because it is a beautiful thing when you are able to break out of a pattern. So the guides are saying, go for it. Now, I'm going back to the report. You are part of the process of moving from control-based structures to trust-based systems. You are leaders in your space and sphere, and you understand the need for presence-based responses versus trust-based systems. And if you are hearing this report and if you are going through what the energy has been dishing out to us, you are definitely in a place where you've seen the control-based structures, you've seen how difficult it is to work with a person who comes from that space, and therefore you do understand the need for presence-based responses. And it's quite possible that in your interaction you are choosing presence-based responses and seeing how there is more clarity in the situation on account of it. So the guides are saying these are important values required by the collective, that is the values around presence-based responses. These are important values required by the collective, and they need to be communicated, taught, role modeled, so that they become a choice for more members of society. And as pioneers of this process, you are being asked to let go of your limitations. Now, your audience as a leader may be one person, it may be a blog, it may be a story on the internet, it may be a group of people that you meet. It doesn't have to be the whole world. It doesn't have to be a million people listening to you. It can be that one person whose life you've changed, because you don't know what your purpose is in this lifetime. And perhaps it is to touch one life after another, and through the years amass, a whole lot of lives that you have touched. So whoever it is that you feel you want to communicate this with, do that, because it will help them feel empowered as well. Now, back to what the guides are saying. They're saying the reason why you are pioneers is because you are choosing awareness and evolution. You would not be interacting with this content if that were not the case. And therefore, you are part of the light that is on the planet, helping shed the old ways that were restrictive and controlling. Now, to do that, what has already been discussed last week is the need to be willing to take the risks you need to take the next step onto this new path. Also important is the ability to account for the fact that change needs planning for the impact it has on you and others. So, the thing about change is that we don't necessarily account for that impact that it has, because change results in uncertainty. Uncertainty results in anxiety. Anxiety results in making, reactionary decisions, or because you want to soothe yourself, you want to release that fear. And therefore, if you can look ahead and say, okay, well, I'm going to have to deal with this and this and this and this, because that's what the change will bring to me. When you reach that point, you are going to be able to navigate that point, rather than just assume that, you'll cross that bridge when you come to it. Look, there are certain spaces when you have to think that way, that, look, I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. There's no point sitting and, let's say, worrying about it right now. However, there are times when you do need to look at all the possible ways in which a situation will unfold, the consequences it has on you, on people around you, just so that you are prepared. And a lot of times when I have done that, I have been told that I'm overthinking, and it really annoys me because I don't like the word overthinking. And I actually want to tell the other person, well, why don't you go ahead and underthink while I do the thinking I need to do? And I've always found that it is useful to do that sort of scenario building, not to choose the worst case scenario, because that's when, you are getting stuck in your, triggers and so on, but to do that thinking so that you are prepared. When you have the capacity to think, the God-given capacity to think, when you have the capacity to make a choice which is empowered, then why not use it rather than stick your head in the sand and just imagine that your problems will go away? That is my approach, but each to their own. So I do feel, however, that this is what the guides are saying when they say that you need to take into account the change in your planning and its impact it has on you as well as others. So the guides go on to say trust-based leadership involves taking into account emotions versus the adage of leaving emotions at home, preferably buried under a carpet. So ask yourself, are you in touch with your emotions? Are you accounting for them in the detailing of the way forward? And if not, it is important to ask why. So this is the first energy felt this week. This need to get in touch with your emotions, this need to understand why you are not accounting for your emotions in what you do. Why are you not looking ahead to see how change may impact you and others, and what you can do proactively in order to be able to navigate that change? So the first energy is to ask why. So they continue with saying being able to manage and account for emotions for yourself and those around you allows the next energy to come up this week. Now, this energy is about focus. When you are doing something different or something that you may be doing the first time, or that will be a first for the world you impact, you need the grit and determination to see it through. If you are not in charge of your emotions, then the uncertainty may lead to self-sabotage or feeling restless. So focus needs that silence within. Focus needs you to allow the space in your life to believe in your life and to believe in the universe that things will get done. And also act, right? So focus cannot be had when the what ifs keep raising their head and distracting you from your path, which is why you need to look at your emotions. You need to get the what ifs out of the way. Now, when you can focus on what you are creatively aligned with doing, when you are fulfilling your purpose, and when your attention on that is unwavering, you become magnetic. This is the third energy this week, and this energy is what pulls people in, draws people to you. These people can be your clients, investors, or people you need on your team, or on your side, or in your family, or your child whom you want to role model a certain behavior to. Okay, so whoever they may be, they are drawn to the radiance you express when you are lit up about what you are doing and have the grounding and stillness needed to be completely focused on making it happen. So that is the third energy this week. The fourth energy this week invites you to think about the story that got you here. Your story is compelling, it is powerful, it is awe-inspiring to those whose need is fulfilled by hearing it. That is the rule, the guides are saying. Every story has an audience that is moved by that particular sequence of events. Therefore, never doubt the power of your story. There is more and more contrast in people's lives between where they want to get and where they are. So this is a symptom of the old structures breaking down and the rise of individuation. So this gap is stressful when you don't know what to do with it. This gap needs people with inspiring stories to lift you. You are the one with the story, the ones who need to hear it and will feel comforted enough to make that leap of faith will find you. Right? The fifth energy this week wraps it all up and says that if you've identified what lights you up, if you're focused on it to the point of having become magnetic, if you have allowed your audience to come to you, then you will know how to communicate with the clarity needed to sound authentic, compelling, and authoritative to others. This is a different approach to branding or marketing than the one there is now. So the prevalent marketing is one of coercion, using psychology to invent a need in people's minds to sell, irrespective of the consequences and as long as it keeps the powerful people in power. This is a whole new approach, allowing your tribe and your people to find you because you have what they need to be lit up as well. This distributes the power, and that distribution also allows for balance. The guides are saying to me that this is a concept that needs time to be understood and seep in, and that this energy will be re-looked at a couple of times over the next few months. Honestly, this is very heartening to me because this is the approach that I'm following with the work that I'm doing, where I'm putting myself out there, whether it's through these videos or through Instagram or through my articles, etc. I'm putting myself out there and I'm letting people find me. Now, I wake up every morning and wonder, should I create a sales funnel? Should I send out all these emails? And there are times when I feel the need to reach out to certain people, absolutely. But most of the time, I feel that I need to follow my strategy as a projector, which is to wait for the invitation. I'm not sitting idle. I'm making sure, I'm there on all platforms for people to see. But I do need to wait for that person to recognize the ability that I have, because it's different to the way the world works, and invite that in. So this is very like a balm to my soul, because it's sort of telling me that I'm moving forward in the right way. The guides are also saying it is important to be aware of these words and the possibility so that when the planet has enough people for the shift to become obvious, you are already primed and aligned through your having allowed this energy into your mind and life. So, good news. Let us look. So, that's the end of the report for this week. I hope this gives you some clarity, and definitely there will be more clarity when you listen to each of the signs. So for this, you will need to look at your astrological chart or connect with me, and I'll let you know your top 3 signs. I use whole sign houses and Hellenistic astrology for this breakdown, so take what resonates. Now, your rising sign is about you. Your body, mind, and soul. The question to ask is, what is going on in my life? Your sun sign is your career and themes related to your father and father figures. The question to ask is, what is influencing my career or significant masculine relationships? Your moon sign is your emotional space, your mother and mother figures. The question to ask is, what is influencing my emotions or significant feminine relationships? So for example, I'm a Libra rising, Taurus sun, and Pisces moon. So whatever is happening in a particular house for my career related to my sun sign, in a different house for myself related to my rising, and in a different house impacting my emotions related to my moon sign. So I look at it that way. You can look at just your rising sign, which will provide you with the main themes. So let's begin. Aries rising sun or moon. Look at your emotions in the areas of family, roots, ancestral karma, mother and maternal figures, and how it impacts your career. Your magnetism comes from your focus on spiritual beliefs and your need to grow. Your story is one of creativity, play, and the romance of life. You will be able to role model a whole new approach around finances, self-worth, and values that people will be drawn to. So let's look at this with an example. So an Aries rising may have achieved closure in areas around family, the balancing of their needs in terms of family with the needs of their career, or they may have had some ancestral karma to let go of. There may be something that's been happening around their mom or a maternal figure, and all of this has kept them from really expanding in their career. So that is a chapter which may be coming to a sort of a close, and now they need to focus on what do they believe in. Now, when we say spiritual beliefs, we mean how much do you know yourself, how much do you know what makes you tick, and what is your need to grow, and how does this apply to this understanding you now have about balancing your family and your work, right? And how do you grow? You grow by being creative, by bringing in play, by looking at romance in your life, and whatever you have learned is going to help you to role model a whole new approach around finances, self-worth, and values that people will be drawn to. And that's obvious, right? Because if you've balanced things around your family and career, you are in a position to look at your finances. You are in a position to take a whole new approach to it. If you've balanced your family and career, you have different belief systems now that will help you grow. And what the guides are saying, or what your chart is saying, is that look at how you can be more creative, how you can bring in more play, and what is, the value of romance in your life, because that is what is going to help you with all of this. So it's all connected. Okay, so Taurus rising sun and moon, look at your emotions in the areas of your immediate living environment, perhaps relationship with siblings, your self-expression, and how this has impacted your spiritual beliefs and your need to grow and expand. Your magnetism comes from your focus on partnerships and shared resources. Your story is one of family, roots, ancestral karma, mother and maternal figures, so you've learned something there that you can share or role model with others. You will be able to role model a whole new approach around personality, appearance, and the balance of your needs versus the other people that we will be drawn to. Now, again, here you can see the connection. If a Taurian a Taurus rising has been through, stuff where they have a story around family and their roots and things like that, then obviously they have also learned how to balance their own needs versus that of other people, right? And this is something that other people will want to hear because they may not have learned the same lessons, but those lessons are coming up for them to learn because the planets have moved in that area of their chart, and this Taurus rising already has the stories around it. And when it comes to, looking at their living environment, looking at how that impacts their spiritual beliefs and need to grow, then it is quite possible that they need to look at, so let's say they have decided to pursue a path that brings them more expansion. It may require them to move from their current living environment, which means it may impact the people they're living with, so their shared resources. It may be impacting the partnerships they have. So these are all connected in this way, and it's important to look at what is that connection that stitches this all together for what is happening in your life right now. For Gemini rising sun and moon, look at your emotions in the areas of finances, self-worth and values, and how they impact your partnerships, karmic debts, shared resources, or those have been impacting this. Your magnetism comes from your focus on close associations, other people's needs, perhaps getting married. Your story is one of immediate living environment, siblings, and self-expression, so you've been learning stuff around this. And you will be able to role model a whole new approach around subconscious fears, insecurities, and patterns of self-sabotage. And when you are able to explain to other people how all of this, the subconscious fears, the patterns of self-sabotage, etc., how you've worked on this, because that's the only way you can have a story about it. When you're able to communicate this, people will be drawn to it because other people need to learn it right now. Okay, so Cancer rising sun and moon, look at your emotions in the areas of personality, appearance, the balance of your needs versus the others, and how they impact your close associations and marriage. Your magnetism comes from your focus on health, routines, daily work tasks and duties. Your story is one of finances, self-worth and values. You will be able to role model a whole new approach around networks, social circles, and your contribution to society that people will be drawn to. So Cancer rising, I have stitched together how all of this creates a full story for the Aries and the Taurus rising. So perhaps you want to listen to that before you listen to your own sign. I'm sorry I cannot do it in depth for each. I will build up to that. I am trying to build up to that. But if you can look at how it's stitched together there, then perhaps this will help you understand better what this means for you. Okay. So, Leo rising sun and moon, look at your emotions in the areas of subconscious fears, insecurities, and patterns of self-sabotage, how they impact your health, routines, daily work, tasks, and duties. Your magnetism comes from your focus on creativity, play, romance, and children. Your story is one of personality, appearance, the balance of your needs versus the others. And because you have this story, you will be able to role model a whole new approach around career and status that people will be drawn to. I mean, I don't know if I can communicate this, but the connection is so obvious here, because if you have been looking at balancing your needs versus the other, then naturally you have better boundaries, you have your goals in place. So you have an approach around what you want to do, what lights you up, which other people will be drawn to, right? So Virgo rising sun and moon, look at your emotions in the areas of network, social circles, your contribution to society, and how it impacts creativity, play, romance, and children. Your magnetism comes from your focus on the family, roots, ancestral karma, mother and maternal figures. Your story is one of subconscious fears, insecurities, and patterns of self-sabotage. So if you remember, let me complete this and then I'll go back to that. You will be able to role model a whole new approach around spiritual beliefs and the need to expand that people will be drawn to. Now, for example, if you look at this, your, what we say, your magnetism comes from your focus. It means that in the drama that is happening in your family, you are able to go silent, you are able to go within, and that is what is helping you focus on the results that you want. So Libra rising sun and moon, look at your emotions in the areas of career and status, how they have impacted your family, roots, ancestral karma, mother and maternal figures, or the other way around. Your magnetism comes from your focus on the immediate living environment, self-expression, thought processes. Your story is one of networks, social circles, and your contribution to society. You will be able to role model a whole new approach around partnerships, shared resources, and karmic debts that people will be drawn to. And I've just had an epiphany when reading this for my own life because I'm a Libra rising. And all I have to say is that it makes sense. For me, it is about looking at how my roots, my relationship with my mother impacted how I was willing to show up for my career. And now that I'm working on setting up a whole new career, I have to be more focused, more silent in terms of, the fact that it does impact, let's say, the standard of living that I'm used to versus because, I'm in a business versus being in the jobs and I have almost 22 years of corporate experience. So it is different having that monthly paycheck versus, setting up your own business. But the more I go within, the more I feel grateful about all that I have, about the opportunities I have, about the fact that I'm doing something I love, about the fact that I have flexibility with my time because I'm doing something by myself. The easier it is for me to be more creative. And because I have shifted careers, because I've changed as a person, I have been part of different networks, different social circles, and my contribution to the world has changed. And now I am owning this ability that I have in order to contribute to the world. So there's definitely a story I have to share here. And evidently from that story, it changes the way I have done partnerships, whether or not I've been okay with shared resources. And there have definitely been a lot of karmic debts that have been closed out in the process. So I can see it relative to my life, and I hope this explanation helps you see it relative to yours. Now, for Scorpio rising sun and moon, look at your emotions in the areas of spiritual beliefs and the need to expand and how that whole thing has impacted your immediate living environment, self-expression, and thought processes. Your magnetism comes from your focus on finances, self-worth, and values. Your story is one of career and status. You will be able to role model a whole new approach around balancing others' needs versus your own, close associations, and marriage that people will be drawn to. So not marriage, but that whole thing, the role modeling approach is what people will be drawn to. So Sagittarius rising sun and moon, look at your emotions in the areas of partnerships, shared resources, and karmic debts and how they impact your finances, self-worth, and values. Your magnetism comes from your focus on personality, appearance, and the balance of your needs versus the others. Your story is one of spiritual beliefs and the need to expand. You will be able to role model a whole new approach around health, routines, daily work tasks, and duties that people will be drawn to. So this is truly interesting because I know a couple of Sagittarius risings and I can completely see how this story impacts their lives. So for Capricorn rising sun and moon, look at your emotions in the areas of balancing other needs versus yours, closest associations, marriage, and how they impact your personality, appearance, and the balance of your needs versus the others. So Capricorn, you are completely different from who you were in 2008. This is for sure. Your magnetism comes from your focus on subconscious fears, insecurities, and patterns of self-sabotage. So, of course, releasing those. Your story is one of, or looking at them, being comfortable with them. Your story is one of partnerships, shared resources, and karmic debts. You will be able to role model a whole new approach around creativity, play, romance, and children that people will be drawn to. Aquarius rising sun and moon, look at your emotions in the areas of health, routines, daily work tasks, and duties, how they impact your subconscious fears, insecurities, patterns of self-sabotage. Your magnetism comes from focus on network, social circles, and your contribution to society. Your story is one of balancing others' needs versus yours, close associations, and marriage. You will be able to role model a whole new approach around family, roots, ancestral karma, mother and maternal figures that people will be drawn to. Pisces rising, sun and moon, look at your emotions in the areas of creativity, play, romance and children, and how they impact your networks, social circles, and contribution to society. Your magnetism comes from your focus on career and status. Your story is one of health, routines, daily work, tasks, and duties. You will be able to role model a whole new approach around your immediate living environment, siblings, and self-expression that people will be drawn to. Now, what I'm going to do is take a little time to just share with you how you need to look at this. So let's say for me, Libra rising, right? I'm looking at this and saying, oh, okay, so, it's true that I have had a completely, my journey is in my career space has led me to being in a complete, I was working in a center of expertise in HR for the APAC region in 2008, moved on to a global role, moved on to other roles. And today I'm, looking at astrology and human design. My intuitive ability opened up in 2009. So in 2008, I was absolutely oblivious to the fact that my life could change so much. My dreams at that time were to be head of HR or CEO of an organization. They were not to be an intuitive coach, right? So I can see how that has changed completely. And I can see how my dreams have also made me understand what was my upbringing, what was my conditioning, why, because I wanted to do psychology when I was coming out of school, but my whole family was very particular that I had to follow, either become an accountant or an engineer or a doctor. And I did not want to follow any of those paths. So I took up economic honors because it was outside of that boundary and yet safe enough to do. Whereas psychology honors would have been, oh my God, it would have been, quite a difficult time. However, even though I did that and then went on to do an MBA at IIM Indore, I still decided to take on HR, which created a ruckus in the family. I got these long emails from everybody telling me I'm making the wrong decision. But again, I was choosing HR in the corporate world. So I was making a safe choice, but a little bit outside of, the norm that my family expected me to conform to. And as time has gone by, there were so many times when I wanted to quit my job, set this up as a business, when I was in the corporate world, and I was pushed back over and over again. And I had to really break those bonds, cut those umbilical cords to be able to now say, no, this is what I want to do, and I'm going to focus on this because I feel this is my purpose on the planet. So, now when this comes up for me, I can look at this and say, all right, I understand, I need to find closure. And this validates me. It validates my journey. It makes me feel that, yes, all of this has happened since 2008 and I get it. I'm a different person and I need to, bring together that learning, right? And if there are any emotions left of resentment or, sadness or anything, then I need to look at that and see what I can do about it. Now, when they talk about magnetism, and that being in the focus on, and they explain that, right? They said that in order to focus, you need to become still, you need to become silent, you need to think through the impact of change on your life. That is so relevant to me because, as I said, going from a monthly paycheck to having to do this and setting this up, it requires a whole different thinking process. And so, and it requires a trust in the universe that, things will happen, that if I follow my strategy, my authority in human design, I am going to be able to receive the success that is part of my projector profile. So I do need to go silent over and over again in those thought processes in order to be able to, smooth over those bumps, right? I do have a compelling story. I mean, I have experienced different networks, different social circles, being different in those networks and social circles, being inauthentic in order to be a part of those networks and social circles, falling out of those networks and social circles because my desires have changed. Now, imagine someone who's in the corporate world doing that, traveling around the world. I had a completely different set of friends, and today I appreciate a completely different set of friends. So I do have a story around, all of that, as well as how I have come to the conclusion that this is the way I wish to contribute, irrespective of whether that is the norm or not. And it has made me look at partnerships differently. It has made me look at who are my people, what is my tribe, how much can I expect from another person, is there value in shared resources, or is it better to be independent? And there have been several karmic debts that have closed on account of all of this. So I'm breaking this down for you, and I know this is a repetition if you've listened to the Libra rising. I'm breaking this down for you to understand that this is very practical advice. This is about looking at where are you feeling validated. When you go through this report, is there a part which makes you feel anxious? Is there a part that you don't resonate with? And is that because you are not looking at it? When they talk about change and new systems coming in place, it's not at some, point in the future that we are never going to get to. Yes, we may not see it happening at the world scale right now, but how can you be that candle that lights another flame and then another in your life right now? And how right now, if the energy is difficult, if the energy is intense, if the energy is tumultuous, then does this information help you see the path forward for you? Does any of this light you up and say, okay, that is how I'm going to get out of the situation I'm in? Okay, so it is a story of your everyday life. It is a story of what you're thinking of. It is a story of how you're evolving day by day. It is a story of how you're growing. And I would love to hear from you how this resonates for you. What is happening in your life right now that makes sense? You can connect with me by commenting below. I'm available on Instagram. There I, in fact, publish a daily reel and various other things to help you understand the energy better. I'm also there on Medium, where there's none of this extra stuff. You just get the guidance from the guides, clear and straight. So yes, do connect with me. Do let me know how this feels for you. And in case you would like to have a personalized session with me, do let me know. I do the same analysis of the soap opera of the stars specifically for you based on your natal chart. I have reports which then, break down from 0 to 90 years, each year, how you are impacted, what are the emotions, what are the themes in your life you need to look at. I also do one-off sessions which are more energetic, intuitive in nature, connecting to your guides, connecting to an issue that is bothering you, releasing you. So there are many ways of working with me. Do get in touch with me. I would be happy to hear from you. Thank you for listening. Do leave a comment or a like or subscribe to this channel. It really helps me by motivating me to do more of this content. Thank you.